Hello and welcome. You're watching the Newstrack. I'm Rahul Kanwal. Is the 2024 general elections increasingly becoming Mandal versus Communal, caste versus religion? And if it is, to whose advantage is this? Fascinating Newstrack showdown coming up on the show this evening.
After Rahul Gandhi screams caste census,
हमने वायदा किया है कि जैसे ही हमारी सरकार आएगी जाति जनगणना को हम पूरे देश में इंप्लीमेंट कर देंगे
and promises a national X-ray.
देश का एक्सरे कर देंगे, दूध का दूध, पानी का पानी हो जाएगा.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi hits back, points at a vote bank.
तुष्टीकरण के लिए ये दोनों पार्टियां कुछ भी कर सकती है. तुष्टीकरण की खातिर ये लोग देश हित के लिए किए गए हर निर्णय को वापस पलटना चाहते हैं.
Amit Shah rakes up Sharia.
मैं राहुल गांधी जी को पूछना चाहता हूं, पर्सनल लॉ को आप आगे बढ़ाएंगे तो क्या ये देश अब शरिया के आधार पर चलेगा?
Election becoming Mandal versus Mandir. 2024 war, caste versus Hindutva. That's our top focus on the Newstrack.
Is the 2024 war becoming Mandal versus Communal? Rahul Gandhi has declared that a national caste survey is his life's core mission. The BJP, led by Prime Minister Modi, is targeting the Congress on minority appeasement, asking questions about the Mangal Sutra, asking questions about Muslims, being appeased by the opposition parties. The Home Minister today hit out at the Congress over personal laws and Sharia and asked if India will now run on the Muslim Sharia law. The campaign war of words is heating up, and how?
I said minorities, particularly the Muslim minority.
Throwing it back again.
They are poor, they have prior care.
The BJP unearths a 15-year-old video.
Minorities, particularly the Muslim minorities, if they are poor, they have prior claim on the resources of the nation.
The ruling party pulls out a clip from 2009 featuring then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh to reinforce its claims that the Congress leans towards appeasing Muslims. This fresh jab aligns with the BJP's recent barrage of accusations against the Congress for allegedly favouring Muslims in its policies.
अगर कांग्रेस आती है तो ये सारी सुविधाएं दलितों, पिछड़ों, आदिवासियों और सामान्य वर्ग के गरीबों को नहीं मिलती. कांग्रेस की चले तो गरीब कल्याण की योजनाओं का लाभ भी धर्म के आधार पर देती, क्योंकि कांग्रेस तो डंके की चोट पर यही कहती है कि देश के संसाधनों पर पहला हक मुसलमानों का है.
In a well-coordinated maneuver, the BJP leader meanwhile also suggested a statement alleging that the Congress is attempting to deprive SCs, STs and OBCs of their right to cater to Muslims.
सच्चर कमेटी की रिपोर्ट के माध्यम से गलत बयानी की गई और मुसलमानों की हालत दलितों से भी खराब है, ये कहा गया. मतलब यह है कि कांग्रेस पहले से ही आधार बना रही थी कि येन केन प्रकारेण मुस्लिम को एससी अनुसूचित जाति घोषित कर मुसलमानों को एससी आरक्षण की वैधता दिला दी जाए. कांग्रेस की एससी, एसटी और ओबीसी के अधिकारों पर डाका डालने की यह आदत बहुत पुरानी है.
The opposition retaliated, accusing the BJP of persisting with communal tactics to divide voters.
आप प्रधानमंत्री के भाषण देखते हो, घबराए हुए हैं. शायद कुछ ही दिनों में स्टेज पे आंसू निकल आए. 24 घंटा आपका ध्यान इधर उधर करते रहते हैं. जब पाकिस्तान की बात होगी, कभी चाइना की बात होगी, कभी थाली बजवाएंगे, कभी मोबाइल फोन की लाइट जलवाएंगे.
Political ideology dominates the BJP's campaign as the nation votes for the second phase of the Lok Sabha elections. Bureau Report, India Today.
With phase 2 polling drawing to a close, is the 2024 general elections increasingly becoming Mandal versus Kamandal, caste versus religion? And if this is happening, to whose advantage is this? Joining me on the broadcast, I want to welcome first my guests in the studio, starting with Sanjay Kumar from CSTS. I have Ashutosh, well-known author, political analyst. With us at this moment are some of India's sharpest political minds. I have Pradeep Gupta, lead cephalogist at Access My India. He and his team out on the ground doing a lot of post-poll surveying, as is Yashwant Deshmukh sipping his coffee, joining us on this broadcast. For a political perspective, I'm joined by Guru Prakash Paswan from the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party, squaring off against him, Mohan Kumaramangalam of the Congress. I want to go across to Pradeep Gupta first. Pradeep, in the manner in which over the past 7 days we've seen the BJP take a sharp communal turn, the Prime Minister himself and below him Amit Shah, Yogi Adityanath and several other luminaries refer to communal issues, and given the fact that the Congress led by Rahul Gandhi is constantly talking about the caste survey, asking people tumhari jaat kya hai, talking about a more equitable India, are you seeing this election increasingly becoming Mandal versus Kamandal? And if this is happening, to whose advantage is it? Pradeep Gupta.
Yeah, first of all, Rahul, this is not the case. This election definitely not getting into this direction for sure. Over the years, any election for that matter, there are three elements. One is the people, two is the political parties and the politician you talked about, and third, most important, is the media. Let's talk about the first, the people, how they elect and how they select whoever they do. More than 80% who vote, their livelihood largely, indirectly or directly depend on the government of the day. So they elect and select government very, very carefully. That a single % doubt on that, जिसको आप कहते हैं रोजमर्रा के विषयों पे जो उनके जीवन पे सीधा सीधा प्रभाव डालते हैं. दूसरी बात रह गई politicians या political parties. See, whatever speech or whatever these politicians talk in different forum, 40-50 मिनट बात करते होंगे तो 5 मिनट वो जरूर इन विषयों पे बात करते हैं जिन विषयों की आप बात कर रहे हैं, एंड दे विल डू सो बिकॉज वो सारे जितने आर्म्स एंड एम्युनिशन है उनके आर्सेनल में वो सारा का सारा इस्तेमाल करेंगे. उसमें 40 में 5 मिनट इसके लिए भी देते हैं. कहने का मतलब है 10 मिनट के करीब वो इन विषयों पे भी बात करते हैं, क्योंकि देयर आर सेक्शन ऑफ सोसाइटी जो शायद इनसे भी प्रभावित हो. बट 90% वो डेवलपमेंट और विकास और लोगों के जीवन में क्या परिवर्तन लेके आएंगे उन्हीं पे बात करते हैं. और तीसरी बात है मीडिया. ऑब्वियसली मीडिया को ये सूट करता है कि जो सनसनी हो, जो इस तरह के मुद्दे हो जिसको पब्लिक देखना चाहती है, वो उन 2, 4, 5 मिनट को पिक करके और उन पे चर्चा करता है. रह गई बात इस इलेक्शन की, हर इलेक्शन में जैसे होता है, आप ये इलेक्शन नहीं जितने भी उठा के देखें पिछले दिनों में, तो आप जरूर पाएंगे इस तरह के विषयों पे बात की जाती रही है और की जाती रहेगी फ्यूचर. दिस इज माय टेक.
Okay, Ashutosh, Pradeep Gupta disagreeing, saying this is power for the course. We are overhyping the divisive issues which are being spoken of. This happens in all elections. Only 10% of the campaign. Voters are far more discerning. They look at who might help them rather than just going by the headline sensational issues, which are matters of public debate and are useful for the TV media, but not for the voters. Do you agree, or do you see this election take a more communal turn?
I disagree with him. I disagree with him for the simple reason, because in Indian politics or Indian society, the caste and the religion, these are the two defining construct of an identity. You go to Bihar, you go to UP, you go to any place in this country. Why we talk about Lingayats, why we talk about the Vokkaligas, why we talk about Yadavas, why we talk about Kurmi, Kushwaha, and why there are so many political parties with 1 or 2 MPs of caste. So the caste is the defining feature in Indian politics. There's no doubt about it. Over the caste identity, if sometimes unemployment plays a decisive role, sometimes it's like a topping. So in this election, what I see is a return of 1991. Why I'm saying the return of 1991? For the simple reason, because at that point of time, when VP Singh announced the implementation of Mandal Commission report, then BJP as a counter started the Communal campaign, and Lal Krishna Advani started the Rath Yatra. Today, what is happening is, again, the BJP is reacting. Because before Rahul Gandhi, it is Nitish Kumar who started this caste census debate. Rahul Gandhi picked that. And now the BJP knows that their whole civilizational agenda of uniting the entire Hindu community will go haywire if the caste consciousness becomes an overarching consciousness. So it is not only going against their civilizational project, but it is also going against their political project. Because Modi's success lies because he could unite not only the upper caste, but BJP successfully infiltrated in the OBCs and the Dalits. And it is because of the Dalits and OBCs coming towards the BJP that the BJP became such a powerful figure at the nation. So if this caste census becomes very powerful, and that is why Mr. Modi, in order to neutralize that, has taken this Muslim League and
Over the past 2 minutes, you've seen why this debate is so interesting. Ashutosh argues that yes, an attempt is being made to make this Kamandal versus Mandal, caste versus religion. Pradeep Gupta says no, that's not important. That's just the flaky milk at the top of the cappuccino. That's not the real political cappuccino. Sanjay Kumar, your sense, are we increasingly seeing, whether it becomes or not is another question, are we increasingly seeing both by the opposition and by the government an attempt to make this Mandal versus Kamandal, where the BJP is pushing for Kamandal and the opposition trying to create increasing caste consciousness?
No, absolutely, Rahul, I agree with what you are saying. If you look at the tone and tenor of the campaign by BJP on one hand, at least for the last 5-7 days, clearly BJP is trying to convert this election into kind of a Kamandal, because they're always trying to juxtapose the majority community with the minority community. And it is not coming from one political leader of BJP, it's coming from almost kind of a note which has been circulated to all the leaders, and everybody is singing in the one tune. And if you look at the leaders of the opposition party, especially Rahul Gandhi, you rightly mentioned right at the beginning that he's trying to emphasize the importance of caste and why it is important to do this caste census, why it is important to give justice to the people who belong to the lower rungs of the social ladder, referring to the OBC, referring to the Dalit. So I think, in my opinion, yes, at least if you look at the tone and tenor of the campaign, it is turning into a Mandal versus Kamandal election.
So 2 versus 1. Sanjay Kumar, Ashutosh saying yes, it is becoming Mandal versus Kamandal. Pradeep Gupta taking a contrarian line saying no, that's not consequential. Yashwant Deshmukh, where do you come out on this issue? Are we very clearly seeing, regardless of whether it is working or not, an attempt by both political formations to try and make this Mandal versus Kamandal? Yashwant Deshmukh.
Well, Rahul, I think BJP's policy in the last many decades has been trying to overlap Kamandal within Mandal. That's how they have been targeting it. That's how their growth plan has been over the last 10 years. So obviously, they very much care about Kamandal, but at the same time, they cannot leave the Mandal. And they know for sure that their winning formula has actually attained critical mass only after they took care of Mandal into the Kamandal itself. So if you remember in 1989 onward, right after the Mandal Commission was caved in, even at that point of time, the BJP leaders, none of the BJP leadership had actually criticized the reservation policy. The RSS people have never criticized it in that way. They have said that, it will be ideal and dream scenario of when we reach a situation when there is no reservation is required. You remember during the Bihar election, the RSF chief said something and that was taken out of proportion, and BJP had to pay a bloody price for that, miscommunication. So I think as far as the RSS or the BJP is concerned, they are pretty clear about the affirmative action. There is no way they can not take into the caste thing into their consideration. And this thing is a permanent part of Indian politics. Yes, they are trying to give a larger narrative for sure that there is a developmental politics, there is a larger umbrella where, everybody is equal. But let's face the fact, you cannot take the caste equation out of the Indian context, at least in politics or in the social fabric.
Okay, so Yashwant Deshmukh shaping the debate differently, saying it is Kamandal with Mandal and brackets for the BJP, and that's how they're trying to take both caste and religion together and create a formidable combination. So we've heard from the pundits. I want to go across to the politicians. I'll start with Guru Prakash Paswan, because in the manner in which this campaign started, it seems the BJP top leadership started getting some feedback from their own supporters that the campaign was a little thanda, that it lacked that spark, the fizz, the energy, which is why the Prime Minister went all out with this hyper-aggressive blitzkrieg in an attempt to charge the base. And from what we can see, while the final voting percentages aren't out yet, from what we can see from the morning, there seems to have been heightened voter enthusiasm relative to the first phase. So do you think this strategy is working for you from the BJP's perspective? And given that the Prime Minister lays so much emphasis on trying to position himself in India as a Vishwa Guru, he's going out meeting Arab sheikhs, do you think while this may be beneficial in the campaign, it could potentially mar his longer-term reputation? How do you respond to that? Guru Prakash Paswan.
No, Rahul, I think it's a very interesting discussion, and the way you have articulated how this election has transformed into a Mandal versus Kamandal. For us, for the Bharatiya Janata Party, it's about Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas. When you speak of Kamandal, what we see is a moment of civilizational renaissance. This year's Ram Navami, I think it's after 500 years that the Ram Navami was celebrated at such a grand scale at the original place of the birthplace of Ramlala. So I think it's a moment of renaissance for Hindus, not only in India, but across the globe, across the world. Second, when you speak of Mandal, again, we speak of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, and Sabka Prayas. For the first time, Rahul, we can see a woman from Adivasi community at the highest constitutional office in the country. A man from humble background, from the extremely backward caste, is one of the most powerful prime minister in the history of our country. Narendra Modi is an EBC. Prime President Draupadi Murmu is a scheduled tribe. So we walk the talk, unlike the Congress party. Be it giving constitutional status to the National Commission of Backward Classes with a historical representation.
No, but some of those are
OBCs.
rhetorical points, Guru Prakash Paswan. I want to draw you to the current debate. The Prime Minister himself talking about Hindus, Muslims, he had conveyed the impression that he's risen above this, that he is playing for history, he's looking at his legacy. The moment he brings himself down to this communal mud pit, where he's flinging the same kind of mud that a lot of other junior leaders in the BJP may have, but the Prime Minister, while he was governing, was trying to oppose. So it seems his idea is, my governance is secular, but campaigning needs to be partly communal.
No, I think, Rahul, it could be your personal view, but what Prime Minister said... I'm just asking
a question, I'm not giving you my view.
No, the speech that you are quoting, the Honorable Prime Minister is quoting from the speech of Manmohan Singh. Prime Minister Manmohan Singh in 2006 said that the first claim or the first right over the resources of this country is belonging to minorities, especially focusing on Muslim minorities. And it cannot be a matter of coincidence. Congress manifesto speaking about wealth distribution, Sam Pitroda, President of Indian Overseas Congress, not a random Samanya Karyakarta of the Congress party, speaking of a 55% inheritance tax. And then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh...
No, but why should we take what Sam Pitroda is saying any more seriously than Anand Hegde or Jyoti Mirda or Lalu Singh or Govil, all of whom have spoken about trying to change the constitution if you get 400 plus? Why take Pitroda, who's not any official office bearer and any real significance in the Congress party, more seriously than your worthies who've said you want to change the constitution?
I'm happy, Rahul, that you brought about the conversation on the propaganda basically on changing the constitution. There are 106 amendments in total in the constitution. 80% or more amendments have been brought by the Congress party. Now you give me an answer. The constitution has been amended. The 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, the mini constitution, was brought by the Congress party. The only time we saw an emergency was during the Congress party. So I think this rhetoric, this propaganda of changing the constitution must be destroyed for once and all. It is the Congress party that insulted Baba Saheb Ambedkar. It is the Congress party that insulted Sitaram Kesri. It is the Congress party that insulted Babu Jagjeevan Ram. So I think we don't need a certificate when it comes to caste. We don't need a certificate when it comes to social justice and representation, Rahul.
Mohan Kumar Manglam, it seems quite clear that Rahul Gandhi and his advisors have decided that the only way to break out of the BJP's hold over the Hindu vote bank is to split the Hindu voters along their caste identity, which is why Rahul Gandhi seems to be going against the core convictions of his father, his great-grandfather, all of whom opposed reservation, opposed a caste census. You've got a caste census which your government in Karnataka has completed. You don't make those results public because you realize that if you're in government, having to deal with the consequences can be disastrous. Is this just rank political opportunism to try and make the Indian voter more conscious of his caste identity than he already is?
Rahul, the form of identity politics, if you want to term it as such, that the Congress party is doing by talking about the caste census survey is vastly different from that the BJP is bringing to the fore. The BJP is talking about temples and largely tokenism by way of representation they've given to certain castes in higher positions. What we are talking about is doing a solid caste census survey so we can provide adequate representation to backward caste, to social scheduled caste, scheduled tribes in positions where they are lacking right now in representation.
No, but
This isn't
Rahul Gandhi isn't seen as a caste leader, unlike a Lalu or a Mulayam. For him, caste is not a lived reality. It's something that he's now trying to jump onto the bandwagon of to try and benefit politically. He hardly comes across as an authentic caste leader. That's Lalu, Mulayam, some of the others, but not Rahul Gandhi.
Rahul, whether it is Mr. Mulayam Singh or whether it was Mr. Lalu Singh or any other particular caste leader that belongs to a particular caste and then fought for the upliftment of that caste is very separate than someone who's saying that I want to do a bipartisan, an objective survey of all castes in the country. And by saying what you're saying, Rahul, if I were to draw an analogy, and I'm not comparing Mr. Rahul Gandhi to Mahatma Gandhi, but this was the vast difference between the, purview, or rather the way that Mr. Mahatma Gandhi thought about caste upliftment and how B.R. Ambedkar thought about it. Mr. Mahatma Gandhi said that we want a Harijan Sevak Sangh where all castes would work for the upliftment of social castes and scheduled tribes. It wasn't adversarial. He didn't belong to any of the castes that he was talking about uplifting.
Okay.
So you don't have to be belonging to a particular caste.
With Mahatma Gandhi, but that's the first.
I said,
you made that point.
I said very clearly that I'm not comparing the two.
Okay, so in the second part of this conversation, I now want to pivot to whether Rahul Gandhi comes across as a genuinely authentic caste leader, Ashutosh, because Lalu Yadav, Mulayam Singh were leaders who'd grown in a certain socio-economic environment. For them, caste was a lived reality. Rahul Gandhi, when he asks an Agarwal, do you understand GST? It's very clear, okay, this is someone who's, trying to play this game, but doesn't necessarily breathe and live caste, because frankly, for many of us, caste hasn't been a lived reality. Does he come across as genuine in his effort? Do you think it's working? Or does it look very upar ka just to try and benefit from this politically?
See, it is not necessarily that Rahul Gandhi should look genuine or should not look genuine.
You think he doesn't need to look genuine?
I know. I'm not getting into that argument because I go back in history and I see who started this whole Mandal movement. It was done by Vishwanath Pratap Singh. And Vishwanath Pratap Singh unleashed the kind of energy which has completely changed Indian politics in the next 20 years.
And he was an upper caste leader.
He was upper caste leader. He was a Kshatriya. He was a Rajput, and in the past had never ever aligned himself with the
So you
OBC
think if you
politics.
pick the right cause, it doesn't matter what your caste is. It doesn't have to be a lived reality.
See, even at that point of time, it was not that the Vishwanath Pratap Singh genuinely believed into the social justice. It was a political compulsion that he had to unleash that energy. Rahul Gandhi today is again facing the same crisis because Congress is going through an existential crisis, and Rahul Gandhi and the Congress is looking for a social base. Look where the social base is. Upper caste, the dominant caste, which used to be with the Congress party, has shifted totally to the BJP. Once they shifted to the BJP, then the Congress need to invent another social base for himself. And what is that base? OBC, 50% population. And if you get this, if we get a slice of that 50% population, then the Congress can be a very, very dominant force at the center.
Yeah,
that's why he's doing it.
Ashutosh is a very important point, which is that to be a caste leader, you don't necessarily need to come from that particular caste. He cites the example of Vishwanath Pratap Singh, who was a upper caste leader and yet became a champion of the downtrodden by channelizing caste identity and energy. Is Rahul Gandhi coming across as genuine and authentic when he plays the caste card, or do you, like Ashutosh, think it doesn't really matter?
Well, I don't think what Rahul ji is trying to do is actually somehow gonna pay some political dividend to him. Reason being that Ashutosh is correct in his assessment that you don't need to be a caste leader for that matter. If you don't even need to be a religious leader for that matter, the biggest Muslim leaders in India have been Hindus. Let's face it, that's the fact. Lalu Yadav ji, Mulayam Singh ji, I mean, the Muslims have rallied behind them. Same is the case with the caste group. Only problem is that, post Mandal era, the biggest caste politics champions, rather than taking the umbrella of the Ladar OBC or Ladar Dalit caste identity, they became, when they got power, they somehow became leader of their individual caste within that larger umbrella of that caste thing.
Okay.
So Lalu Yadav ji became a leader of Yadavs. Mulayam Singh ji became a leader of Yadav rather than the OBC leader.
So that's an important point.
Ashutosh,
which is why I like the fact that we have sharp political minds who have genuinely original thinking. Ashutosh citing the example of Vishwanath Pratap Singh. Yashwant talking about Lalu and Mulayam, who are both leaders of the Muslims without being from that community. Pradeep Gupta, multiple attempts have been made to repackage, reposition, give a political rebirth to Rahul Gandhi. They've failed. How is he faring in his effort to emerge as a caste leader? Does he come across as authentic, or do you, like Ashutosh and Yashwant, think it doesn't really matter what caste he comes from? Pradeep.
Now, Rahul, I just want to clarify in my beginning comment that caste, of course, caste play a very, very vital role. More than 80 to 90% of the population vote based on their caste alignment, not a single percent out onto that. But I just want to discuss this further. If that is the only case, what had happened, BSP and Samajwadi Party ruled Uttar Pradesh after Babri Masjid demolition after 91, 20 years. Then BJP come in the force. Let's take example of Bihar. In 90s, Lalu Prasad Yadav ruled. Nitish Kumar ruled after that, and in 2015, see how these things played. But they lost very badly, the BJP and the NDA. The Gadbandhan, Lalu Mulayam
So what's the point that you're making? To my specific question, what's your point?
The point I'm trying to make is not the cost. It's not the cost. Cost will always go with their alignment, not a single percent doubt onto that. But मैं जो point बोल रहा हूँ कि ये जो politician जो आप कह रहे हैं रैली में ये बोल रहे हैं वो बोल रहे हैं, उनकी वजह से उनका voting preference or selecting or electing the leader of the party is definitely not going to change. They will vote the way they will vote and how they vote based on the development and who is bringing this positive change to their lives. And this is
okay, Gupta ji has a theory of his own. He says what matters only is who's bringing development. Caste and identity don't matter as well.
कास्ट से करेंगे, हमेशा करेंगे राहुल. कास्ट से 50 साल पहले भी करेंगे, बाद में भी करेंगे. अरे मेरी जाति का कोई खड़ा है तो क्यों ना वोट दूं भाई मैं? क्यों ना? Question doesn't arise. Question doesn't arise.
So caste plus, not just caste plus development. Okay. The good thing is they have different data sets. Pradeep Gupta has his own data set. Yashwant has his own data set. Sanjay ji with CSDS keeps doing his own polling. So we are hearing different interpretations of the polls that are going on. Sanjay Kumar, to this question of whether Rahul Gandhi comes across as a serious caste leader, Ashutosh says it doesn't matter. He just needs to channelize the energy. It doesn't matter which caste he himself comes from. Do you agree, disagree?
No.
Is this your former guru Yogendra Yadav trying to repackage Rahul Gandhi as a caste leader?
If he's trying to do that, I don't think he's being successful in doing
Why not?
Because it doesn't resonate. When he, in a t-shirt and in a jeans, if you start speaking about, I am committed for the welfare of the Dalits and I am committed for the welfare
of the Vishwanath Pratap Singh did this.
Yes, but Vishwanath, I'm not willing to compare Vishwanath Pratap Singh with Rahul Gandhi as a leader, because leave aside the caste identities, but the way they have done the politics, the way their entry into politics, the way they entered into politics is very, very different. Vishwanath Pratap Singh more or less like Lalu Yadav or Mulayam Singh Yadav. I'm not comparing them with regard to their caste identities, but their track record in politics.
So you're saying he doesn't come across as authentic?
Absolutely.
He's too prim, proper and posh to come across as a Dalito Ganeta.
Yes. On that, you mentioned about the survey. We did the survey before election, 15 days before election. And just to cite the data we asked this question. And generally people believe, whether it is Rahul Gandhi or other political leaders, a very large majority of people believe that when political leaders invoke the identity of caste, or when they say that I am committed for the welfare of the caste, a very large number of them believe that it's all politics.
Ashutosh wants to counter you.
Nobody is genuine about...
Sanjay Kumar says he comes across as too prim, proper and posh to be a genuine Dalito ka neta.
I'm going to say something controversial. See, Vishwanath Pratap Singh unleashed that energy, but his politics also ended with that. The energy which was unleashed by Vishwanath Pratap Singh was grabbed and captured by the caste leaders within the Janata Dal itself. The Janata Dal disintegrated, that's a different thing. So there is a danger here, inherent danger, that Rahul Gandhi might unleash that kind of energy, but the caste leader within the Congress party they can grab the moment and they can become big and they can take over the
But who are the big caste leaders in the Congress right now?
Pilot, Gujjar leader, and there is a Bhupesh Baghel in Chhattisgarh. There is a even Khadge Saab is a party president. So Congress did try to do social engineering within the party in the last 3-4 years.
Okay, Guru Prakash Paswan has his hand up. He wants to come in on whether Rahul Gandhi comes across as an authentic caste leader. Now the argument is you have to channelize the energy. It doesn't matter which caste you come from. And Rahul Gandhi probably realizes that the only way out of the Hindutva logjam is by making people more aware of their caste identity and getting them to vote on caste rather than Hinduism.
No, Rahul, I think you have used a very interesting phrase called lived reality. And Rahul Gandhi is bereft of that lived reality and lived experience, for want of a better word, if I can say. And that is what distinguishes Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Like I said, and it's a very important sociological point as well, what distinguishes Lalu Prasad Yadav, Mulayam Singh Yadav, and for that matter, Narendra Modi as well, because they have seen the difficulties. They have seen what it means to be a socially marginalized community in India. They have seen the financial backwardness. And in the same lane, right now, Ashutosh ji compared Mr. Rahul Gandhi of unleashing the same level of energy as Rajnath Pratap Singh. My Congress spokesperson said that he is akin to Mahatma Gandhi. I'm sure he's aware of the fact that there were a huge amount of disagreements between Ambedkar and Gandhi. Ambedkar went on the extent of writing a book, What Congress and Gandhi Did to the Untouchables. So I think comparing Mr. Rahul Gandhi to Mahatma Gandhi, or for that matter, bringing Ambedkar in the same conversation, it is just a historical injustice that we do.
Okay,
so Mr.
Mohan Kumar Amangla.
I completely agree with what Sanjay ji said.
Let me start with a couple of things.
Just one second. Mohan, let him complete. Mohan, 1 second. Let him complete. Go on. 20 seconds more.
No, I think I agree with the proposition of Sanjay ji that Mr. Rahul Gandhi is too fancy, too pedigreed, too prim, and too proper to sort of ignite.
Let Mohan Kumar Amanglam respond to this argument that he's simply too prim, proper, and posh to come across as an authentic caste leader. He hasn't really seen poverty like Prime Minister Modi has, and therefore when he speaks of the poor, the voters say, ye kaise bol? He's never seen poverty. What does he know of the poor? Who hasn't lived caste?
I really don't know where Mr. Modi saw poverty itself. I only hear rumors about his background, frankly, and his degrees, and we have no real idea of how he grew up, frankly, on what conditions he grew up. All I know is that he declared his own caste to be a backward class after he became chief minister. Now, Guru Prakash said earlier that we made a lot of amendments. The first amendment made when Nehru was prime minister was to protect SC/ST reservation because there was a case filed in Madras High Court to that extent. So all the amendments were made has been to protect the history of social justice that was enshrined in our constitution after we became independent. Now, I'll say something. I think I agree with both Ashutosh and Pradeep Kumar to some extent. I think the larger issues that, pertain to livelihood, unemployment, price rise, these matter to the voter. Where caste identity intersects with utilitarian issues is in the issue of reservation. And that is the one thing that people have been scared of. I think, Rahul, if you talk to other experts about what happened in phase 1, there is an issue that if the BJP changes the constitution, it will be to eliminate or marginalize.
No, but that's the Congress doing on WhatsApp University what the BJP used to do earlier. The BJP has not said anywhere.
We are not in the
BJP has said nowhere that they will change the constitution. No, I have seen some.
We don't have the kind of money to run WhatsApp University.
Sir, आपने भी बना लिया अपनी team.
Nowhere near the resources.
No, you don't have those resources. No, you haven't.
हमारे तो अकाउंट ही फ्रीज हो गए तो हम कहाँ से लेके आएंगे WhatsApp University? चलो ठीक है आप क्रेडिट दे रहे तो हम ले लेते हैं. No problem. I have no problem.
No, but
I am just telling you.
On a more serious note, very clearly, the opposition has built enough of a narrative around the constitution being changed, which is why the Prime Minister and other BJP luminaries are responding to it. Otherwise, if it wasn't an issue, they wouldn't have to respond to it.
What is the BJP's response? The BJP started this campaign with mutton, then went via Mangal Sutra straight to Musalman. Where is Vikas? I'm still looking for Vikas in his whole campaign. All I see is the same old Hindu-Muslim rhetoric that he hopes will bring people out to vote, which I don't think will happen.
In the last part of this conversation, I now want to focus on whether the Prime Minister's hyper-aggressive pitch over the past week has actually worked in enthusing the BJP cadre and bringing them out to vote in phase 2. Is phase 2 likely to be different? Because has the BJP been able to ensure that their own voters who are conveying the sense that the election is a little lackluster, thanda hai, have they now been energized? Sanjay Kumar, I'll start with you. Do you think the campaign that we've seen in the past 7 days no matter what the morality of it, do you think it's working from the BJP's perspective?
At least from whatever data which we are getting from the ground up till now, the long queues which you can see in, say, cities like Noida or Ghaziabad and many other parts of the country, I do get a sense that whatever campaign has been done by Prime Minister Modi and other BJP leaders, that's making an impact on the ground, that has been able to enthuse the party workers, especially the BJP workers, and we see the result that maybe this second round of election, second phase of election will witness a higher turnout.
In states like Rajasthan, there were several seats, Ashutosh, where the campaigns seem to be becoming very localized around caste issues. Do you think the Prime Minister's hyper-aggressive campaign in the past 7 days has been able to overcome some of those problems from BJP's perspective?
See, the results, not the results, but the information which we are getting from the ground, is that the caste identity suddenly has become very powerful.
Only in some pockets.
Only in some pockets, like the Jat identity, the Rajput identity, and the Gurjar identity, the Meena identity. They have started playing some kind of politics in that sense. I think the Modi has realized that if the Hindutva narrative is getting weakened, then certainly there is an issue, and it is neutralized that caste consciousness in the certain particular castes. He came across with this kind of things like कि तो Muslim League की बात करते हैं और the Muslims are the infiltrators. I had very closely watched the first 2014 campaign and also 2019 campaign. I had never seen these kind of such an aggressive anti-Muslim campaign by the Prime Minister himself. And today also.
No, but we've seen it in 2017 in Uttar Pradesh.
We've
seen it in Gujarat when the election was tied.
Now I'm talking about the parliamentary elections. Parliamentary election, I'm very definite on this. Today, if you look at the second phase of the polling, the JP Nadda is coming and making a huge statement, almost a minute statement, especially on the Muslim appeasement. Then Amit Shah coming out and talking about the Sharia law. Yogi Adityanath, if the Congress comes into the picture, then they will bring the Sharia law. Now, from where suddenly the Sharia law is coming?
Let Guru Prakash Paswan respond to this, because when you say Mangal Sutras will be taken back and given to Ghuspaitias, the Congress hasn't said this. Even when your party says that the Congress intends to bring Sharia law, it's almost as if you're building a post-fact reality where this is, no one said it, it's unlikely to happen, yet because it's politically expedient to you, you go out and say this. Guru Prakash Paswan.
No, Rahul, see, the problem is that Ashutosh ji would definitely selectively pick out statements from our leaders, Prime Minister Modi or Amit Shah, but he would not be wary or conscious of the fact that he's also speaking of 40% more Muslim girls going to higher education institution. You should also be aware of the fact that...
No, but who in the Congress said they intend to bring the Sharia law?
No, Sharia law. Rahul ji, one incident, one bhashan you are taking out of the entire political discourse, that is not unjust. What we are speaking of is sabka saath, sabka vikas, sabka vishwas. For us, this election is beyond caste and beyond community. It is not a matter of politics for us. For us, when
if you listen to Guru Prakash Paswan, you would agree that this is what they're saying. But if you listen to some of the comments which are being made, it's quite clear, because this is not being said in some WhatsApp group. It's being said on camera and in public.
I think you should send Guru Prakash Paswan to go be Mr.
No, 1 second. Mohan Kumar Manglam, you're being unfair. Let him complete. I'll come to you. Let's do this nicely.
No, Rahul ji. Two very basic points. When it comes to triple talaq, who abolished triple talaq? It was the Bharatiya Janata Party. We very well remember, you speaking of Sharia law, in 1985, Shah Bano, what was her fault? Shah Bano was a divorced Muslim woman, and the Supreme Court gave a very progressive judgment of giving maintenance to that woman. The Rajiv Gandhi government, is it not like Sharia? Is it not...
okay, so Sanjay Kumar says, Mohan Kumar Manglam, that what the BJP and the Prime Minister are doing is working. Regardless of the political morality of the attempt, the fact is all is fair in love and war. In an election, they want to come to power. If they come to power, you can keep your morality to you. Mohan Kumar Manglam.
Rahul, I thought they were already coming to power. It was a matter of how many seats, no? 400 par.
Even you think so?
Even that's gone away. No, I'm saying that's what they were saying, na? वो तो कह ही रहे हैं ना? तो भैया, what is the need for dividing society? If you're so clear that you're coming to power on your development rhetoric or on your other rhetoric, it's been so long since I've heard Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. I think Guru Prakash Paswan should go be Mr. Modi's speechwriter. Maybe we can hear all these lovely lines after a while. I haven't heard him from Mr. Modi's mouth for a long time now.
If you're winning so comfortably,
money from
Guru Prakash Paswan, why do you need to say these kind of comments?
No, I think, see, Rahul, we are very categorical about it. 1.4 billion people of India, everyone regardless of caste, community, gender and only yesterday, Dilip Sardesai, a Goa Forward Party leader, in presence of the India Alliance, they said Uttar Pradesh और बिहार के लोगों में बुद्धि कम होती है. Every day, every single day, you see lines being drawn on the basis of caste, on the basis of religion, on the basis of region, on the basis of language. No, what is this? This is beyond our comprehension. Every single day, divisive political agenda and propaganda by the Congress Party.
Now, Pradeep Gupta, do you buy this?
No, listen, I need to cut my time off, Rahul.
Okay, very quickly. Mohan Kumar Amangnam, 20 seconds.
Rahul, very quickly. Rahul, I'm tired of these lies that keeps coming out of the BJP. They didn't abolish triple talaq. The Supreme Court did. They actually criminalized triple talaq, which everyone objected to. Okay, and then they keep going on and about what Dr. Manmohan Singh said when he was Prime Minister, that minorities at first right.
Let him speak.
Let me speak. They keep going on and on about the fact that Dr. Manmohan Singh said that minorities have the first right on resources, even though the entire speech was in the context of SC, ST, OBCs and minorities. And it was a controversy raised by them, and the Prime Minister's office clarified the very next day. Let me hear this Prime Minister clarify that he really means sabka saath, sabka vikas.
Yashwant Deshmukh, this harping back to those two speeches by Dr. Manmohan Singh. He's retired now from active political life, but those speeches have become front and center of the BJP's campaign. Do you think the BJP is pushing this aggressively enough for this to work? Because, you know, one is Manmohan Singh said it, but he said it so long back. Is it still consequential, or do you think just with the conviction with which it is being said, it's serving BJP's purpose?
यार बहुत दिक्कत यह है कि कुछ बोले नहीं तो आशुतोष बोलेंगे चुनाव बहुत ठंडा चल रहा है.
मैं क्या कह रहा हूं भाई? I think he said something. See, Manmohan Singh, whenever Mr. Modi refers to Manmohan Singh, that means BJP is in crisis. In Gujarat election 2017, remember Manmohan Singh name was. That's what I'm saying.
But the BJP won in the end.
That's what I'm saying. That means there is something wrong with this Lok Sabha election. BJP is not very confident. That's why Manmohan Singh is invented.
Gupta, do you buy this? That some of what we are seeing, Ashutosh argues, is a betrayal of some underlying anxiety. Otherwise, if it was just all bum, they wouldn't need to do this. That they were winning comfortably on a pro-development agenda. The Prime Minister wouldn't need to get his hands dirty in this fashion.
Rahul, I always say saying and doing, कथनी एंड करनी, ये सब बोलते रहेंगे, सब बोलेंगे, लेकिन होगा वही जो करने से होगा, कहने से कुछ नहीं होगा. वो सब कहते हैं, उनके अपने अपने पर्पस हैं, अपने अपने एजेंडा है, वो कहते रहेंगे.
Speaking in riddles. What are you saying? Clearly बोलो. You are speaking in riddles.
मैं बोल रहा हूँ. I will always say that मैं इलेक्शन के आउटकम के बारे में, जो भी आउटकम हो, बट आउटकम कहने से नहीं, करने से होगा. बस all I am saying is that नेताओं का काम है कहना, वो तो कहेंगे, but most important जनता.
So you are saying all that they say doesn't matter? That it doesn't matter? This is just to keep Ashutosh, Sanjay Kumar and Yashwant Deshmukh in business? So it looks like we had a smart cerebral debate.
या पॉलिटिकल रैलीज जो होती है, वो लार्जली जो होती है, अपना जो कैडर होता है, जमीन के ऊपर कार्यकर्ता होते हैं, उनको मोबिलाइज करने के लिए, उनका उत्साह बढ़ाने के लिए, ताकि वो वोटरों को घर से निकाल के लेके आए और वोट करें जो भी पार्टी के फेवर में, जो भी उसका सबसे बड़ा पर्पस जो होता है.
No, so do you think it served that purpose? That was my question. The Prime Minister's campaign in the past 7 days, do you think it's enthused the BJP's cadre that seemed a bit thanda in the first phase?
नहीं, I am saying, मैंने जो शुरू में कहा, 4 से 5 मिनट वो ये बात करते हैं, 40 मिनट दूसरी बात भी करते हैं, उसको आप अंडर वो माइंड कर रहे हैं, और जो 5 मिनट की.
अरे आप सवाल का जवाब तो दे नहीं रहे हो. Has the Prime Minister's campaign in the past 7 days energized the BJP's cadre and their supporters and made them more enthusiastic than they were in phase 1? Straight question.
Straight question, definitely yes. cadre को वोट कम पड़ा है फेज 1 के अंदर, फेज 2 में वोट ज्यादा पड़ना चाहिए, और ज्यादा पड़ने का सीधा डायरेक्ट रिलेशन है, जिस भी पार्टी के कार्यकर्ता हो वो घर से लोगों को निकाल के गर्मी के अंदर लेके आए और वोट करें. डेफिनेटली उसके असर नजर आएंगे आपको इस फेज के अंदर.
Okay. Pradeep Gupta is now beginning to sound like one of the top Sangh leaders. Sometimes they speak in riddles, so you have to join the dots of what is being said. I mean, they may be saying something deeply profound, but you have to join the dots of what they're saying to try and understand the core meaning. Yashwant Deshmukh, on that same question, before I wrap up, do you think this campaign is working? Is it serving the BJP's political agenda and helping bring more voters out to the polling booth? Has it changed what was earlier seen as a thanda campaign into a more energized, more exciting contest?
Rahul, whether it is a question of the caste-based equations or whether it is a question of turnout, there is a one common thing which I am sure Ashutosh and Sanjay Bhai would also agree with that as a cloud burst, if you do not have a proper rainwater harvesting management system in place, majority of that rain goes into the drain.
Now you're also sounding like a leader who I can't understand.
I'm telling you the
why is everybody sounding so philosophical today? Is it like the World Philosophy Day? Go on.
Rahul, the big difference between the Congress and the BJP right now, or the opposition and the BJP right now, is the organizational strength, courtesy the RSS, to make impact of reaping in that kind of situation where majority of the voters go out and vote. So be it in the caste, the same thing applies even in the caste equations, Rahul. Simply because you may have a caste leader coming through, but if you are not working on the ground, if you do not have an organization which is working on the ground, you may or you not reap the benefit of that.
I understand data, I understand analytics, I understand statistics. I don't necessarily understand philosophy. And we have a situation where pollsters are barred by the Election Commission from doing polling or revealing what their polls are showing. So therefore, pollsters are turning philosophers instead of psephologists. Very quickly, I'm out of time.
My question is very simple. If Mr. Modi is so charismatic, even after 10 years, why the voters are not enthused to come out openly and participate in that process to make him the Prime Minister?
No, but there isn't the kind of anti-incumbency that there was against Manmohan Singh after 10 years of being in power.
I'm only saying is, if you look at...
How do you know that his voters are not coming out?
How do you know his voters are not coming out? It could be opposition voters who are not very enthused about regime change who are sitting at home.
Let me complete. I'm only saying is that Mr. Modi's rise in the Indian politics has been followed by the rise in the voting percentage.
Sir, but the fact also is that the BJP has a better organized campaign machinery, and their ability to bring their voters out to vote on polling days much higher than that of the opposition.
So why the polling percentage in Rajasthan is drastically down? Why?
No, I have a theory on that, which is depending on the efficiency and efficacy of your state government, it also determines local enthusiasm. In Uttar Pradesh, the BJP isn't facing those issues. It's facing them in Rajasthan. Does that mean that because of local internecine issues, like, say, for example, former chief ministers being upset with the fact that they were shafted and not given pride of place, are there local issues which we aren't seeing in a state like UP?
Rahul, the fact of the matter is, you take any state in the North India. When the parliamentary elections, Mr. Modi is at stake, the vote percentage suddenly goes up, and even the vote percent, the BJP goes up.
Margaret Thatcher and Tony Blair, both of them were very popular leaders at the end of 10 years when they were fighting their third election. They had massive trouble, much more than Prime Minister Modi does.
I'm not disputing that the Mr. Prime Minister is not popular. I'm only saying is there Modi fatigue in this election?
Okay, Modi fatigue. On that question, Pradeep Gupta, very quickly, because I also need to wrap up.
I totally disagree with Ashutosh ji. The facts are in front of you. Depend on the weather conditions. If you take Uttar Pradesh, the voting percentage is far more larger than in assembly election than the Lok Sabha election. You take any state for that matter. Take Madhya Pradesh. You are talking about.
No, but why would you compare apples and oranges? You'll compare Lok Sabha this time and Lok Sabha last time. You can't compare assembly election which happened in December.
Rahul, Mr. Modi is there. There is a big voter turnout. I'm saying which is not the case. The facts are showing you the...
But heat is important. I contested in 2014 and it was a similar heat. Same summer was there. May to from April to then. So if there is a dip, there has to be some reason.
We've had a fascinating...
There has to be some reason.
What is the reason according to you, Gupta ji? Batao.
First and foremost is the heat. No. Second is the summer vacation during this time. No. So most of the people goes out of vacation. So these are the
Can I just show on our screen data compiled by the India Today Data Intelligence Unit. This is from phase 1. It looks at whether there is a correlation between change in voting percentage and change in average temperature at that time. So we looked at the data for 2019, then we looked at the data for 2014, and as you can see on the screen right now, there is no clear correlation. There are pockets where the weather has become hotter and yet the voting percentage hasn't changed much, and there are pockets where the weather is actually cooler and yet the voting percentage is down. So there it is on your screen right now. So for example, in places like Sidhi, voter turnout has dropped 13% from the last time. The weather has changed only 1.8 degrees. In a place like Muzaffarnagar, voting percentage actually went up the weather went up by 2.5 degrees, but voting percentage was down 9.2. So on one side, you're seeing the change in voter turnout from 2019. On the other side, you see the change in average temperature from the last elections. So there is no clear correlation. There may be a mota directional correlation, but there isn't a clear and direct correlation. So if anybody says people are staying home because of the weather, that by itself, Pradeep Gupta, statistically isn't correct.
No, Rahul, one more thing. There are so many things. One
Correct.
is whether you are comparing the city, urbanized constituency or the rural constituency.
Okay.
Sitting is a pure urban constituency.
2014, it was the same summer.
So I'll have to do a second debate. We'll have to set up a second...
I think, Rahul, just one.
Yes.
All things being equal, I think nature of contest also drives the voters.
Yes.
If it is a competitive election in a constituency, voters are turning out to vote in much bigger numbers.
We've had a very fascinating conversation. I really enjoyed this. I hope so did you. Psephologists turning, philosophers.
Just one line.
अरे खत्म करना है भाई. Time हो गया है. जल्दी बोलो.
Just one line.
Okay.
You know, whenever the turnout drops, the BJP leaders start remembering Baba Saheb Ambedkar. Baba Saheb said, Sangam Sharanam Gacchami. BJP leaders also say the same thing, but the idea is different of the Sangam.
Brilliant, Yashwan.
Okay, this is where you have pundits, and there have a lot of panditri, and the panditri never finishes, but our producers say we must wrap up. I'm off to Kalahandi in Orissa over the weekend. And I'm really excited of all the places that I will have an opportunity to travel to. Traveling to what is supposed to be one of India's most impoverished and backward districts, something I'm really excited about. So I'll see you on Monday. I hope you have a great weekend. Thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.